is things that they're doing virtually. So that's really why we brought everyone together so that we could continue that conversation. So I'm Nadine Holmes, for those of you that don't know me, and I oversee 6 of the special interest alumni societies. And I'm going to ask my colleagues if they will introduce themselves. Many of you know Julie. So Julie, want to introduce yourself?
Hi everybody, I'm Julie Fridley and I serve as the Assistant Director for Alumni Society Engagement, and I work with 39 of our groups, some of which are academic societies and some are special interest. And it's good to see you all.
And Heidi, a lot of you know her because you do send information to her. So Heidi, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I work closely with Nadine and Julie and also Craig. I'm the program assistant for alumni societies.
Okay, thank you. And we're going to kind of go around the room because we're not in a room and we can't go around the table. I'm going to almost have to call on you. But I'd just like for you to give us your name and tell us what society you're representing. So I'll just go around my screen. And so Zach, it looks like you're the next person.
Yeah, Zach Naughton with the Thibodeau Alumni Club.
Oh, thank you. Good to have you here. Okay, Marcos.
Hi everyone, my name is Marcos Cruz with the Latinx Alumni Society, and you just met Jenny if you saw her in the screen.
Oh, okay. All right. Javon.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Javon Collins, Vice President of Black Alumni Society.
Okay. Meg.
Oh, I'm Meg Tieford. I am the president of the OSU Retirees Association.
Thank you. Okay, Sam. Sam, you're still muted. We can't hear you.
Hi, my name is Sam Shim, and I am the president of the Asian and Pacific Islander Alumni Society.
Okay, great. Okay, Faye.
I'm Faye Thompson. I'm with the Women in STEM Alumni Society.
Okay. Yeah.
What did you say?
Kim, I think you're still muted.
Did you say me?
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Couldn't hear it. That's a shame. Kimberly Allen Davis, and I'm the president of the Black Alumni Society.
Okay, thank you. Eric?
Hi, Rick. Hi, I'm Eric.
I'm sorry, thank you.
It's okay. I get it all the time. I'm with the Stadium Scholarship Alumni Society.
Okay, and Erica?
Hi, I'm Erica Cornell with the Dunn Sport and Wellness Scholars Alumni Society. Long title.
Great, great. Okay, am I missing anyone? I don't think I see anyone yet, but as others come in, we'll have them introduce themselves as well. Julie, would you like to talk a little bit about, let me first of all give the highlights, the updates that we're going to give, and there really are just a few of them this evening, and the conversation's basically going to come from you. But then Julie, you can lead off in a group discussion. But as far as updates are concerned, football tickets, I know there are those who are concerned about those, but unfortunately, the request for football tickets and invoices has been put off until we know a little bit more. So as soon as we receive information, we'll make sure that you get it. And all of the alumni groups will be given the opportunity to purchase football tickets and or adjust the request that you've already made. So that's kind of where we are with that now. Also, as we're looking at virtual programming, we've been looking at websites, the society websites, and some of them have some really outdated information on them. You probably don't go there very often. So we would really like for you to look at your website and update the information that's there. And if you need any help, Julie, Craig, or myself are happy to help you do that. And it's really easy to get the updates done. You just need to put in a workfront request and our team will make the updates for you. So we just ask that you look at them. And then the last thing, because your personal health and safety are really important to us, we've had to make some challenging decisions. And one of them is to move the 2020 Club and Leadership Symposium to a virtual experience. so we will not be coming to campus for that. And we're really sorry about it because it's a great time for all of you. We'll be sharing more of the details with you as we come up with them. Of course, we're working to put this together, but it's still going to be a fun time. So we hope that you'll look forward to coming anyway and being a part of it. And the other thing that we're finding too with virtual programming is that there are those who can't necessarily come to campus at the time that we have the symposium, so they miss out on it. But if it's virtual, more people can attend. So hopefully more people from your group can be a part of whatever that's going to look like. So, so we're excited, and we'll keep you posted on how things go. So that kind of leads us to our conversation tonight. A lot of our programming that we would normally be planning to do in-person events, we've had to kind of move that to a virtual setting. And some great things have been happening, and we're excited about some programming that's going to come forward. So we asked you when we signed up to give us any questions that you might have. And so we did get a few questions from that. So Julie, would you like to lead off with those questions?
Yes, absolutely. Sorry, I'm still remembering to mute and unmute. So one of the questions that we got actually, there are two questions from Zach. How do you make suddenly planned digital events feel genuine in place of our canceled planned events? That was one part. And then the second question was fundraising thoughts for the rest of the year. I would love to hear, from you all kind of what your thoughts are on some of those, and Nadine and Heidi and I can also chime in. The other question that we received in advance was, is there a source of ideas for virtual events that have occurred and been successful? I think this conversation is one of those sources. And then we also have what we linked in the email, which was our virtual programming guide. And so we're looking forward to this conversation because we really want to hear from you all what your ideas are, what has worked well, what are your challenges, questions, all of those things. So I think for the first question, let's go ahead maybe and get some thoughts and feedback on how do you make a suddenly planned digital event feel genuine? I've seen a couple. One I just attended kind of as a host bystander was for Cheer and Brutus on Thursday night. They did a book reading with Brutus and a current cheerleader with little kids. And so they partnered with a group who helped provide the book. And so they actually sent a copy of the book to all the little kids. And then Brutus turned the pages and held the book up since he can't speak. And the cheerleader actually read the book. It was really fun. And I think that they just kept it super simple. The president of the society introduced herself. And I think instead of making it feel very, just pretentious, it was just super casual and comfortable, and everyone was themselves. Nobody was dressed up. It was just, in somebody's kitchen. Kids were in their pajamas. So just being like personal in that way, I think helps. It's also, I think, will depend on your audience and how big your population is. With Cheer and Brutus, they have about 500 alums total. So I think they're kind of a small, close-knit group. And so it felt very family, especially at that event, which was a family-friendly event. But I think just trying to keep it comfortable and make sure that people feel like they can talk, give them a time to talk, and then know when it's not time to talk. So even with children on the Zoom call, they said, okay, we're going to put everyone on mute for the next moment. Go ahead and say hi to Brutus and say whatever you want to say now. And so that was really cool because even the kids got to participate, but then they knew, okay, now it's time to stop, put our speakers back on mute while the reading is happening. So I think kind of just laying out the ground rules, but making it approachable so that people have a way to participate without it feeling like they didn't get to do anything during that event. Does anyone else have any ideas or thoughts about how you can make something feel genuine, even though it might be being planned quickly and you didn't have a lot of planning and time to be super intentional about things like we have been in the past?
I'll say something. This is Javon. With my organization, we did a virtual anniversary gala. I work for an arts organization, and we were unable to have our gala. So instead of course, having the actual gala, we just did our virtual concert, put it out to everyone. And, when I did the video, I just kind of, spoke as if it was that night, even though it was recorded. So looking at Buckeye history, just kind of, looking at those anniversaries, those dates, the 150 years, some of those programs, I think people would latch on to. And then also just having some of our, famous Buckeyes getting involved and, assisting the alumni associations and reaching even a new audience for alumni who have kind of not joined this association or, or not, paying members. Hopefully that can be a push to boost our numbers for alumni.
That's a really great point. To leverage the people that are in your community or that have a tie to your group is extremely, that's a great way to connect with people, especially if you have like an OSU type of celebrity person that you can call on to participate is a great way to get people involved and interested, and especially getting people who may not have attended an event in person but are willing to attend virtually. So it can open some doors in that way.
I think Javon made a good point too about the subject matter that you're choosing, because if it's something that's really compelling and interesting to people, it won't feel like it's something that was just rushed, because it's something that they're really interested in. And as he said, there's a lot of great programming that's virtual around the sesquicentennial that we didn't get to do. So there are some virtual topics out there that would really be of interest to people. So I think that's another way to make your event feel more comfortable. People are enjoying what they're actually experiencing. Has anyone else tried anything virtually that's done, the program has gone really well for you, either as part of your alumni programming or just virtual programming that you've done otherwise? Because there's a lot going on with our jobs now that's virtual, so we're experiencing this. So has there been anything that you've experienced that you really liked, you thought it was very well done?
I'll add that with our alumni society, our treasurer is getting her PhD in psychology or counseling. I can't quite remember. And then we also had someone that works in the wellness program over at University of Denver, and they put together a really nice wellness workshop. So they had everyone fill out like the wellness wheel prior, and then they just led a really nice dialogue and presentation on what does wellness look like to you, especially during this like rather crazy time. And it was really great. I mean, they have Zoom capabilities I don't even know of, where like they had breakout sessions and you were talking just to someone else one-on-one. But it was really great to kind of kick off working from home, being at home a lot. What does your wellness look like? What's important to you? And we did like meditation for a little bit during the programming. So it was just really nice too. And it was kind of set up like a happy hour. So it was like 4 to 6 or 5 to 7. And we just kind of like sat and talked about like what wellness meant to us. And they like brought in a lot of resources like psychology and everything. And I thought that was really beneficial, especially for being in this rather unprecedented time.
That sounds good. Erica, how many people were involved?
I want to say, I'm trying to remember, it was like 15, I think, were involved. Okay. About that number. It was sent out to anyone within the society if they wanted to join, and it was just, you just had to like RSVP and then you received the Zoom invite. But it was really great. I can even pass along. And Julie, I don't know if you sat in on, okay, yes.
I got the, after the event, the post-event submission, and I shared it immediately with our team because I was like, this is such a great event. I shared it with Craig, and Craig was like, hey, can you send me more details? Because I want to share that with our leadership team. So that was something that we shared widely because we thought it was such a great idea, especially the relevant content that people are looking for right now. So great job and kudos to you all for pulling that off.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I can share that too, whoever, or I guess you already have the email as well. But yeah, it was a really great topic to discuss.
One of the things Craig suggested actually about that event was, would your folks who facilitated that conversation be willing to maybe help facilitate a conversation like that for another group?
Oh, I'm sure, especially since I know that's what Ellie and James are going to be doing for a living. They absolutely like love that stuff. So I'm sure I could reach out to them and ask. I think they would love that.
Awesome. Great.
So, oh, sorry.
No,
Julie, if
you go,
want me
Margaret.
just hopping
Margaret.
in. Yeah. Hi, everyone. A lot of my experience is probably coming from the workplace because my workplace actually adjusted too well. So actually I'm putting more time in, which makes me upset, but that's okay. At any rate, one of the things that I found myself missing the most is kind of that morning coffee to just talk with people. And so one of the things that has been really exciting has just been people are putting just half an hour moments on the calendar just to connect. And so not really having a specific agenda or anything like that, but just wanting those moments of like, all right, we're about to get into the workday, holding each other accountable so that like if you are in your pajamas, you're like ready to go right at 9, not getting up to the meeting at 8:58 and then possibly logging in at 9:01. And so I've been appreciating that, and to kind of share a little bit about how nerdy I am, some of those coffee hours have been themed with conversations around whatever is on Disney Plus. So I appreciate those moments of just really informal conversations, and they don't have to be long. It doesn't need to like be that hour that kind of we all default to, but just a moment for that human connection that we might be missing, and a chance to talk over coffee has been great.
This is Kim. I don't have any per se ideals. My job, I work from home pretty much since for the last 3 years. So it was a real easy adjustment for our team. But one of the things that I'm hearing in this, there's a lot of ideals, especially for the smaller groups. As societies, we've had a hard time trying to connect to people. So this might be a great opportunity to do a virtual connection with our current members, just to bring them in, especially because they're all across the country, give them a time to come on and kind of, connect and maybe talk about some fresh ideas. We're getting ready to do our elections. And so this would be a great time to do something around that as well so that we can meet our members. And then I like that ideal of the morning coffee kind of concept where maybe we can do some virtual kind of connects that we can just set up a time and some of the board members can be there and people can just pop in and connect and just ask questions and what does our membership give us and, those kind of things. So although it seems like we're at the standstill, we really do have an opportunity to do some different things to help grow our membership. So.
We haven't done this yet, but next Tuesday, we always have a breakfast group. So we invited the people who have joined the organization in the last 2 or 3 months, so we haven't seen them, obviously, to come and join us for breakfast as a Zoom meeting. And so I invited them to bring coffee and a muffin and just have a chance to talk. But I think maybe I want to pull one of the sesquicentennial little snippets or something into that to have a little more content. But I wanted them also to just know what the organization is. And so I said to them, well, we haven't had a chance to see you in person, so let's get together this way. So I hope that'll be successful.
Okay.
I thought I saw Faye with your hand up. Did I see that right?
Yeah, I was just going to second the breakout rooms I think anytime you get maybe more than 10 or 12 people using those breakout rooms to kind of create those more intimate conversations. And the breakout rooms in Zoom are cool because you can assign people manually or you can just set them up randomly so you can do multiple rooms so they get to meet different people in each one. But it can help with that feeling that that in-person feeling, I guess.
And Faye, Nadine was telling me, and I know I've heard briefly a little bit about you guys already have, in Women in STEM, you already have some virtual events that happen around different podcasts. Can you tell the other groups about that? I was so interested in what you guys are doing.
So we just did it in person in February, I think, and we're going to kick one off in July virtually. So instead of a book club, we're just doing a podcast club, and we've chosen Women in STEM podcast. That there are many out there, so we just kind of chose one that sounded interesting. And the first time we chose one episode, the idea everyone would listen to that episode, and then also encourage people to listen to one other episode and then come prepared to kind of share what you heard that maybe everybody else didn't. And so this time I think we're going to do something similar, but maybe pick a couple that everyone would read and then encourage or listen to, and then a couple of others. And probably because we're going online, I think we're going to try and be a little bit more structured about it. So have some questions ready like you might for a book club. We just didn't do that the first time, and it was fine, but I think we're going to try it this other way now. And yeah, that's kind of the plan. If we get more than 10 people, I think we'll break out into small groups, let people discuss those questions on their own, and then come back and kind of do their call outs to the big group.
Awesome. That's really cool. And that's really neat that you already know how to use the breakout rooms. I think all of us are like, yeah, we know that exists, but I haven't tried it yet. So that's cool.
So
I did say last time that I would put together some ideas for activities, and I'm kind of like halfway through of like step by step of this is how you would set up a breakout room. This is how you would go there and ask these questions and come back and all that. So
question, do we have access to the Zoom, to the larger Zoom? Because I have my own personal account, of course, but I don't have the bells and whistles. And so if we go to set up something so we could have the option to have those things, is that available to the societies? Okay.
Yes, it is. We can help to set your meeting up through Carmen Zoom. So you just need to put in your workfront request for it, and then we can help you set it up from there.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Follow up to that, does that need to be specified on the workfront requests, or do we need to ask for that specifically in the request? As I have one incoming.
Yes, if you tell us in the request that you would like to set this meeting up, what the meeting is, and then we'll contact you and get the details and go from there.
There are two new options in Workfront. When you go in, you'll see there's an option to select support for a virtual board meeting or a virtual event. So you can select either one of those, and we can help with whichever it is that you need. If you have an OSU email account that's active, you can access Carmen Zoom yourself, but our team can still help you with logistics or whatever else you might need with hosting that as well.
What's the turnaround time for it as well? Do you know?
It would be the same. Kim, as the turnaround time normally when you're putting in a request through Workfront. So it's 2 weeks for just to get the email information out. If you want a printed piece, of course, it's going to be 6 weeks. And I think, Julie, at this point, they're doing pretty good with the requests as we're getting them, because, of course, switching everything to virtual and then for a while not doing anything, I think they're at a place now that they're pretty much caught up. So I would still give yourself that 2-week lead time.
Same time frame because for the virtual board meetings, you don't really have to, I guess you still have to send the information out and create an email, so never mind.
I have a question. I think, Julie, you mentioned that if you have an OSU email address, you can set up Carmen Zoom. Does that include people who are just alumni? Like I have my alumni email, or do you have to be an employee?
I believe if you still have an active OSU account, you should be able to access it. So like I know Meg uses hers. I think you can just log in. You just need your password. So I'll put the link to the Carmen Zoom sign in the chat, and you guys can try it. If it doesn't work, let us know and we can set it up for you. But we've talked about the different opportunities for us the Alumni Association to reimburse your group if you buy the pro plan. So what was happening before, if you had an in-person board meeting, you would be eligible for up to $50 in reimbursement for 10 times per fiscal year. So you can still utilize that reimbursement process to pay for your Zoom account. So if you don't have access to Carmen Zoom, you can still purchase the Zoom. I think it's $14.99 a month, and then get reimbursed for that cost, which actually would probably be a good investment considering moving forward, it does look like at least Zoom board meetings will be happening and most likely events will be taking place virtually, at least for now. And potentially you may want to do some virtual events in the future too, since we're able to connect with people in different geographic regions. It does remove some barriers for people who weren't able to participate. So it may be a valuable thing to have moving forward, even if we are able to return to regular in-person events, it might be worthwhile to have. Does anyone have any other questions now for event type of things, or should we maybe move on to that other question that we had in the chat or that we received in advance? The other question was about fundraising and what that would look like for the remainder of 2020. And that's something that we're kind of all learning about right now and getting guidance from our communication team. We aren't sending any, OSU had the Day of Giving that was planned for March, and that was canceled. What they did in place of that was on May 5th, Giving Tuesday Now. And instead of groups fundraising for their individual units or their own scholarships, all the funds were directed to frontline healthcare workers and emergency funds for students. So those were the opportunities for people to give. There were it was $960,000 was raised in one day, which was amazing. But we want to be really cautious and careful about fundraising right now, just because of the economic situation and uncertainty that a lot of people are experiencing. So right now we're kind of being very intentional and really careful, and I would say strategic about what that could look like. One of my groups, I was hoping they would be on the call tonight so they could tell me exactly what that looked like, but during one of their events, they didn't send an email out asking for donors, but they did ask people during an event that were participating if they wanted to sign up to donate monthly, if that was something that they were able to do. So I think if you put like a soft ask or included an opportunity for people who might be interested in becoming a monthly donor or a one-time donor during a point that you already have them engaged, that might go over differently than if it was an email to everyone saying, you know, pay your membership dues or make a donation for our membership, or, you know, the other type of just regular solicitation that would go out. So just, that's kind of what we're thinking right now. What do you guys all think about that, or others from our team?
I have to agree with you, Julie. I think that as we think about fundraising, we really do have to be sensitive to what's going on. The other thing too is because we're not doing the in-person events, which tend to cost more, hopefully the needs for the society in terms of finances are not going to be as high as they have been in the past, until we can kind of work through this and get to a place where it might be okay to do an event surrounding that. So I don't know who asked the question, but if you still have questions about it, you can certainly ask us or reach out to us individually. But what are your thoughts in terms of seeking out fundraising opportunities right now?
The one thing, we had been raising money for the Buckeye Food Alliance. We had created an endowment for them, which is the student food pantry. And we decided instead to focus on getting immediate gifts to them. So that's what we've been doing, urging people don't bother with the endowment, because it's going to be a long time before that generates income. But here's a group of that's connected with needy students, and let's support them right now. So that's what we've been doing.
And Meg, I think that's a good idea, because when people look at the immediate need, I think there's not that feeling of, we're asking for money, but it's actually that we're helping right now with something that needs to be done.
Another thing that I'm just thinking of, one of our society presidents, David Greer, he wasn't able to join us tonight, but he's the president of Army ROTC Alumni Society. And he was in touch with the staff members in their unit, because he was asking them, just what should we also, and he actually heard Meg mention the Buckeye Food Alliance and the Student Food Pantry. And he asked, should we send an email out to our members asking them to also give to that? Or what do you think is the most worthwhile thing right now? He got in touch with the staff members in the unit, and they said that their budget would be most likely cut for the coming year. And so what their leadership was talking about was maybe hold off until we see what our financial needs are to support students. Where are we going to have to maybe cut back on our budget, and then we can let the society know what kind of things would really help our students and our program right now, because right now they didn't know exactly what that would look like, but in the future they would have some real things that the students and their program could benefit from. So I think those tangible things are, for the folks who can give and want to give, those are really worthy causes, especially when they know this is going to support students who are in the same position I was in back however many years ago. So that may be another thing to think about, is just waiting a little while until the needs are a little bit more clear for what the students in the programs are that you're all supporting.
Okay, and then the last question that came through the email that we sent out is asking for a source of ideas for virtual events that have occurred and been successful, or are being planned now that you're anticipating they're going to be really successful. So we've heard about a few of them. Are there any other thoughts that people have about virtual events? We do have some ideas on the website, and the meetings that we're having too will generate, I'm sure, some more, and all of these recordings will end up on the website, so you'll be able to hear other groups. But does anybody have anything now that you're thinking about, that you're excited about as an idea, and you think this is going to really work?
Nadine, today I took some events from the cheerleaders that they submitted, and they've done a great job of tapping into their alumni, using their expertise. Like they did a virtual boot camp, and one of their alumni is like runs a gym or something, so they did that. And then they also had another webinar for interviewing, so one of their alumni also hosted that. So that's, if you can tap into the people that are already part of your group using their expertise, I think that's great.
Thanks, Heidi. I think those are great ideas. And I think that's something every group could think about. Who are the people that are a part of your alumni base, and maybe not even necessarily members of your group, but they're people that the rest of the group, it would resonate with them. Reaching out to them, I think this would be a great time to use them, utilize their expertise, and then of course maybe attract them to the group. So thanks, Heidi, for sharing those. Those are just some great ideas.
Has anybody ever done or thinking about doing kind of a virtual watch party, like for games, football or basketball, anything like that?
Well, it doesn't look like anyone's thought of it, Faye, but I think it's a good idea. When I think about some of the sports things not related to Ohio State that have been going on recently, people have gotten together to watch those. So I think it's a great idea.
Our sorority did a virtual day of giving, which they donated. It was to raise money for rent. And so they had a DJ who played several hours. She played like 5 hours of music, and then they had some different people come in, and they had, because we do steps, they had somebody come in and teach some steps. So they had a lot of stuff. It was very interactive. I don't know what the final total was that they raised, but it was set up like a watch party, because you pretty much, that's what you saw was the DJ. She kept everything kind of interactive. You could see the strings of people kind of talking, you know, and I stayed on for about 30, 40 minutes, and I came in and out over the 5 hours. So I think it was pretty successful. So it may be a good idea.
So as we think about programming moving forward, and just from this conversation, does anybody have any thoughts right now about something that you think you might like to try going forward? Because as we said earlier, this probably is going to be the way of programming for a little bit anyway, at least to get us to the early fall. So any thoughts on anything that you're thinking about?
Definitely going to use the concept of doing the virtual outreach to our current members, so that we can bring them in. And it's something to look at from an annual basis, I think, because we always think about having that reunion with everybody coming in.
Mm-hmm.
But I think because a lot of people can't, this would be a great opportunity in conjunction to do a virtual meeting every year, as well as, you know, once we go back, hopefully we can do an in-person one. Because I think it's a great opportunity for people to connect, because sometimes people just don't want to come. You may get people who didn't feel as comfortable on campus, but might feel okay about coming on a virtual call, you know, and so you may be able to pull people back in. So definitely want to use that from now and moving forward. Hopefully through the rest of the administrations, they'll utilize that option.
Okay.
I just wanted to say, with an older population, we're concerned that people won't want to come to big meetings. And so we've been sending out links to people from our Cultural Affairs Committee of various performances and museum tours and things that people could attend. And as part of our annual conference, we're thinking that we might try to tap into some virtual tours of things on campus.
Mm-hmm.
We're thinking that these have already been made. We don't know for sure, but going to Orton Hall, for example, is one of them, and to the Wetlands Park. These are things we were going to offer at our conference. So we're hoping that they've got something put together that we can tap into without having to create it ourselves or have someone else create it.
Yes, there are some virtual tours. I don't know all of them. Since I worked with admissions, I know that they have done some, but I'm sure there are other groups that have done them as well. And I think there are more units that are thinking virtually now, because they understand that, you know, people are not going to be able to do some of the things that they did before. So, and I guess as you think about programming, that might be something that you want to consider, things that you've done in the past that have been successful. How do you translate that into a virtual experience, and, you know, what would it take? So that's a great thing that you're thinking about it, Meg, already. So any other thoughts, any other things any other questions that we haven't covered that you would like to ask?
Could I mention, I know, since like thinking back to my graduation, how the Alumni Society, how they reach out to the students, you know, when you graduate. I know this year it's been a little different. So just kind of wanted to see how the communication is amongst the Alumni Society and the recent graduates. And lastly, if there's an opportunity, of course, with the incoming class, for alumni societies to either welcome them virtually or to do something to kind of, because everyone, it's uncharted waters. So just kind of, reaching out to the students that are coming in to let them know that, the Buckeye family alumni are looking out and supporting them in any way that they can. So that's more of a suggestion.
But great question, Javon. Of the groups that are on, did you do anything with the graduating seniors from your area? I know it was all kind of short notice because we really didn't realize what was happening, but there's still that opportunity because now they are alums. So.
I know Stadium Scholarship Alumni Society IRIX group, they sent a stole to their students and they also are highlighting them on their social media pages. That's difficult for some of you whose population of graduating students is very, very large. If it's a small number of people, you can do something really special. I know with Knowlton School, they had about 200 students that graduated and they're writing handwritten notes to them. So they were thinking about like, how can we send them a gift card? We're not sure if the gift card thing is going to work out 100%, but we know for sure they're going to get a handwritten note with the opportunity to connect with a professional in the field, which is something that could be really helpful for a graduating senior who's really not sure what the job landscape is going to look like for them as they continue to move forward in their career path. Right now, a lot of companies are on hiring freezes, so they're really unsure about how to navigate this. Some of the architects who were on the board were talking about how they've worked through different economic crises and recessions, and they might be able to talk through some of that with a recent graduate and like what their experience was and how they kind of made it through that challenging time. So I think the personal outreach is really great if there's a way that you all can do that. I know that it can be a challenge with large populations of people, but if there's a way to even connect with some of them, that would be a great way, I think, to do something that doesn't necessarily cost any money. We were trying to figure out how they would handwrite notes that would look consistent, and what they came up with was using the society letterhead that everyone could print from home and write it, and then it'll just be mailed in a regular envelope. So that was a way that people could write them. It could look official from the society, but nobody has to like go purchase anything specific. If you have a printer at home, you can do it. So that was one thing I thought was a good idea. Any other ideas you guys want to talk about or share?
I have a technical question on something else if we are done.
I think so. Javon, if we have other ideas, we can talk about those, but I think Julie gave us a few really good ones.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
So Julie, let me ask you, so the Carmen Zoom works. I didn't even realize I could do that. Now with the Zoom app on my computer, can you log into Carmen Zoom, or do you have to use the Carmen Zoom website?
I haven't tried it without the Carmen Zoom. I've only used Carmen Zoom version to log into Zoom, to use Zoom at all. Okay. So I'm not sure. I'm sorry, I don't know the answer, but I know we can find out for you.
Right. I don't know the answer either, Sam, but I almost think you have to use Carmen Zoom if you're going to use that login, because you're actually logging into the university system. So your own personal Zoom, I'm not sure that would work, but we can certainly find out for you. For sure.
Yeah, I would like to know. I didn't realize we had this option. We don't need to depend on you guys to set it up. So this is great.
Okay, any other questions?
Remember email. Look, it's like, who remembers their email? I never use mine anymore, but they don't go away, do they? Your emails actually don't, or do they? They don't actually ever go away.
You have it forever.
Logging into my.osu.edu trying to get my password recovered, so yeah.
Okay.
The admissions website has, like, for new Buckeyes to create their OSU email account. I sent that link to someone earlier to see if it would work, so they could create a new OSU account with a password. I haven't heard back yet if it worked. So I did send that to a different volunteer a few months back, and it did work. And they were super excited. I was like, are you sure you want emails? Because I don't think you do. But that is an opportunity that I think can work. We didn't put it out there because we aren't really sure if it works or not, but I think it might be a workaround for this, possibly.
Nadine? You muted?
Oh, there I am. I'm sorry. Are there any other questions that anyone has, or any other thoughts that you would like to share? I hope that something that you've heard this evening has kind of struck a note with you, or gave you something to think about. And again, there will be additional resources posted. And if you have additional questions, you can certainly reach out to your society liaison, and we'll help you talk through whatever those ideas are. But I do hope that all of you will take some time and think about, you know, maybe a virtual program, if you don't already have one in mind, that you could start thinking about, and we could help you to do it and just see how it works. And they could be very casual, as you heard, or it could be something that's a little more structured, where you have a speaker or someone coming in is actually going to present something. So there are several kinds of ideas that you can think about. So Julie, is there anything you can think of that we haven't covered?
I can't think of anything else. Anybody have any questions, thoughts?
Oh, I just posted the link to the my.osu.edu, the lifetime emails. I don't know if it works, but that's the link from our website. So if you guys want to try that out.
Awesome.
Thanks, Heidi. And it might work. Julie said it's a workaround. It might work, so you can try it and see.
Sure. I just want to say thank you all. And this Saturday marks my 30th year. I was inducted in the Young Scholars Program. It'll be 30 years ago this upcoming Saturday. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Javon. That's
been
great.
a long road, but happy to be here.
That's great. That's great. An amazing program too, and still going strong. Still going strong.
Yeah,
so.
30 years ago. Wow.
Yes. Well, thank you all for joining us this evening. As I said, I hope that you gained something. And should you have questions after this, please feel free to reach out to us. And we're looking forward to some exciting programming coming up in the future, virtual programming. And if there's any way we can help, please let us know. So if that's all, then we're going to say good night. Everybody take care. And we will post the recording of this on the website, as well as that from the other sessions, because the academic societies will be doing theirs. Also, clubs will be doing theirs. So there may be some great ideas coming out of those too. So everyone have a great night, and reach out to us if you need us.
Real quick, I found the answer. You can log on to the Zoom app using your OSU ID.
Shut up. That's
the link
awesome.
in the chat.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks,
It changes
Sam.
it.
Yep.
Game changer.
Awesome.
Yeah,
You don't have to 40 minutes and
yeah, this is great. I mean, we love it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone,
Thanks
for the
all
space.
of you.
Appreciate it
Thank
so
you.
much.
Be safe.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.